All right, so you should be seeing my presentation, Delta Media Group Enterprise Services.
Yep.
Can you see the full screen?
I do.
Okay. All right, let's try this again. All right, so today I prepared a brief presentation. So yesterday we talked about the front end of our platform. Today I'd like to just take you through some of the CRM tools or the customer management tools that we provide as part of our platform offering from Delta Group. But those that didn't participate yesterday, Delta Media Group, we are based in Canton, Ohio. We serve only real estate in terms of technology. We love telling our story. So, today, we're going to talk about, we'll call it CRM, which is Customer Relationship Management. We coined two phrases. One, that intranet side of our platform where you would manage your leads and your customers, we call that our DeltaNet. Now, for a company, though, you guys can kind of almost white label that as it could be an online assistant, it could be, Carpenter Online 365. So there is some co-branding that you can do with it.
Okay.
But overall, and again, I know there's two levels of our system. There's the company level, and then there's the tools that each individual has. But as a brief summary of what ultimately the DeltaNet does for everyone, you can manage your site. From the company side, you can control distribution and lead rules. But for everybody, you can manage your customers, manage your leads, kick off some email marketing. We do have file management that we can go in deeper on a whole separate call. And then obviously, not only the reporting, but we had the discussion about some analytical reporting.
Yeah, and Jonathan, just most of the people aside from me are interested in this from the agent viewpoint. How easy is it to manage things? How where's my reporting? Things like that. So keep a focus on that, and we'll be in great shape.
Okay. So what I've done, and I've done that for the rest of the presentation, and I'm going to share some screenshots, and then I'd like to go ahead and dive into a live site so that you can see how it works and how easy it is to move around and navigate through our platform. But the first thing I'd like to start with, so we have a privileged system, so whether you're working by yourself, whether you're working on a team or an office manager, it's all privileged. When you log in, you get greeted with a dashboard. And the typical dashboard is a welcome screen. Where there might be some messaging, but we have worked with several companies on creating this agent dashboard where we can align all of the company tools and marketing resources. So you'll see a bunch of icons here, and then we can do some single sign-on. And what single sign-on means is that we can make it a seamless path between our system and these other tools. As an example, everyone could log into the DeltaNet, and if I need to go to the MLS, I can click on the MLS button. The first time it may ask me for a username and password, we would encrypt that, but the next time you log in, you can seamlessly move between our dashboard and the other software that you'd like to get access to. So ultimately what these dashboards do is streamline training and then make it very easy as a path to know all the company resources and what I have access to as a real estate professional. And prior to the CRM or the actual customer center, when any company comes on board, there's always a level of training and implementation. But I do want to speak briefly just on lead settings. And I think this is important for a couple of reasons. Lead settings are more or less when is everyone still there?
I'm here.
Hey, David.
Yeah, hold on a minute. Or you guys keep talking among yourselves, as they say.
Sure. So
we were doing real well there for a minute.
Welcome, Dave.
My go-to-meeting screen just jumped at me. Something happened. Why lead settings are important is that, from just the simplicity of where do I want to get notified if the lead comes through. So I can indicate multiple email addresses. I can also indicate my cell phone and provider if I'd like a text message of lead notification. But more than that, the lead settings also allow you to specify rules as to what information you would like to capture on the lead form. As an example, the company initiative might say, well, we only want to require first and last name and email address. But as a real estate professional, I would prefer to capture or require a phone number with those leads. So again, on the initial lead settings of a setup and implementation, you could choose these settings and then choose what lead type or what types of contacts you want to treat as leads. As an example, to simplify that is, users coming to your site may ask a question on a property or may schedule a showing. In that case, the system will use the settings to come and find you. But in a lot of cases, you might have customers using your site as a tool to research properties. So that they may come to your personal website, they may register, but that doesn't necessarily mean you need notified. So again, on each individual level, you can choose whether or not you would like to be notified when someone comes to your site and saves a search or just creates an account. And then again, that's your preference. And then ultimately on the far right, you'll see a screen where if you're running any teams or in the very simple example of I'm going on vacation and I'd like to share my lead or leads with someone else, I can do that. So I can build my team. They can help me manage my leads, but they can't edit that information. So again, in that simple example of if I'm going on vacation next week, I can share my leads with Renee, and then she would have full access to make sure those leads are taken care of without having to exchange login information. Taking it one step further then, we have built what we call our customer center. And this is when you hear the term CRM, customer center was the simple way to say that. And what we've done is build a dashboard for all the agents that you can see all of your customers at a glance. You can see how active they are on your personal site. And then you can see what level of electronic engagement do you have with each customer. So you'll see some circles on that screen that indicate last activity date. And then, do I have a home finder set up? Do I have a saved search happening? Do I have drip marketing going on? Because we are true believers that the more electronic engagement that you do have, the more apt that customer is going to ultimately end up in a transaction with you. So as I go out there and I meet people, I can just quickly go to my CRM either from a mobile device or from the DeltaNet desktop version, click Add Customer, put in their first name, last name, and email address, and then choose what type of marketing I want to go out to them.
Jonathan, does it only track digital marketing?
Could you give me an example, David?
Does it track direct mail? Does it track neighborhood farming or something else that an agent might have set up through other sources?
This specific reporting doesn't. We had another presentation this week that was a similar question. So I'd like to investigate that further to see how we, again, from a tech side, we could build any reporting. It would be how our system could indicate that, or what needs to be indicated so that it could be built into that report.
I would think that apparently the world, some of the world is abandoning direct mail, but I would hope that the CRM, your CRM program, is receptive to helping agents generate direct mail marketing campaigns.
And I don't have a slide prepared for it, but we're not too far off, David, because we're building a product now where someone can go on, and this is all about getting more listings. So we're building a product that a possible home seller will go on and say, what's my home worth, and here's my address. And if that's the only thing they provide, our goal is to provide that either to the company or to the agent for the purpose of what you're talking about, that you can extract that to go into some type of postcard or mail campaign. So just to be transparent, it's not in the system today as in terms of the reporting, but frame of mind is there with you.
Okay, so if I'm just trying to understand this CRM. I know the one that we currently have. So this maintains, obviously, the names, contact information, which would be their address as well as their email address. But I was trying to think, does this allow that data to migrate to, for example, a vendor that does direct mail, electronically send that mailing list or selected mailing lists from my CRM to the vendor?
So, and we could do that via an API. Are you guys using a specific print vendor as a company solution, like
Yeah.
Quantum or
Quantum?
Yeah.
Quantum.
We could certainly look at how do we make that seamless, that the data would just pass over.
But it's not there today.
Not there today, and I
Okay.
don't know
Okay.
if there's a customer I have as an example where we may have the APIs exist. I just haven't done any programming to connect it.
Okay.
And I'm going to take you through live examples of this in a few more minutes. So the second part of the customer center is not only can you drill down to each individual profile, we then give you some tools that you can either from an agent side set up a saved search or what we call a market watch report out to that contact. We also give you the ability to assign certain campaigns to that profile. It could be a holiday campaign or a campaign that I may have created. But then most important, we've always been known, for the tracking that we do on each prospect, that you see a full browsing history in any electronic engagement that is going out and when it was sent to that specific person. So you'll know when your customers are clicking on listings, how many times they've clicked on it, how long they've been on the site, what they saved, what was sent out to them in a saved search. That's all captured and recorded on the customer's profile.
Does that also go to a big list where I can see a full percentage of everybody that has clicked on something that I've sent?
Yeah, so then you'd have reporting like the click-throughs, the open rates.
Right, okay.
And to extend that, we have 3 types of e-marketing now that can be sent out. So once I have contacts, I have them into groups. Now I can, kick off an e-card campaign. So I can say on a specific listing based, I can create an e-card and then say send it to this group, Friday at noon. I could have an e-blast, which is once a week. Maybe it's a newsletter, or maybe I need to let everyone know about the community event happening on Saturday. So we call those e-blast. And then the screen on your right is an e-campaign, which is an ongoing interval-based campaign where maybe once a week or once a month there's some type of content going out. A holiday campaign is a perfect example. So again, these are e-marketing tools that everyone would have access to. But then even on the campaign level, you could set a rule that anytime a new customer visits my site, automatically move them into a certain campaign. So you can apply rules then on how you want your e-marketing to kick off.
And you'll show us examples of some of these campaigns and emails?
Yes. And then about 1.5 years ago, we completed a product, or not a product, a feature what we call Market Watch. Again, I think this is probably similar to what is called Market Snapshot in the industry. But I believe this is the best farming and prospecting tool any agent could have, because not all the time do we meet, an active buyer or seller, but who doesn't want to know information about the neighborhood at a minimum. So I can go in, I can put in my customers or my new friends, I can put in their first name, last name, and email address. I can do it by zip code, I could do it by area, but then a weekly branded message will go out from that agent letting them know here's the market trends for the area that you are signed up for. Here's the sold, just listed, and pending properties. So again, it just keeps your brand in front of the person. Or it might be an active buyer or seller where you're setting it up for their current neighborhood and then setting it up for where they're moving.
Hey,
And it's
Jonathan,
Jonathan.
does this sync up with Gmail?
It does not. But when what, meaning that you'll put in a Gmail address, or are we, can you expand on that? Because there's different levels of when someone says, does it sync up with Gmail? Or
I have a Carpenter Gmail account, and if I put a contact in there, will it sync up with this contact management system?
Not today. It's slated for development in fourth quarter of this year. We are working at doing Gmail first, and then Office 365 after that. So based upon the contact record of an email address, you would have complete history.
Thank you.
So if it'd be okay, I'd like to just go online and show you real examples. So from yesterday, I'm going to use Dominic as my example. Dominic is a local professional here. So as users come to his public site and make requests either on listings or doing property search, again, anytime that a customer is created, the system will look at those lead settings that you have set up and then apply rules as to how you want notified of that person coming onto your site. Or you may be going into what we call our DeltaNet and putting the user into it. So here's the example of the dashboard I showed in the beginning. Here's all the company resources and tools. If I wanted to go into luxury portfolio, I could click on it. It would ask for my username and password the first time around, and then after that, it would just seamlessly pass me into that system. So if any of you are using like luxury portfolio or our world as an example, it would work seamlessly. Then we have our lead settings, and again, this is more so on a training and implementation side, that when a company onboards, we bring over all the information, we get all the, the content moved over, but ultimately you got to tell the system how you want notified. So you can indicate multiple lead notification email addresses, and then you can also notify, for the purpose of text message notification, the SMS side, and then which vendor that you, or which provider that you use. Again, you have options. So in some cases, you may want to require a phone number on your own forms. That can be done. And then I may want to choose to share my leads with someone else within the company, or maybe I'm operating on a team and I want my team to have access so that they can help me manage my leads. Customer Center, again, is the dashboards where I can add new customers one by one. If I have a CSV file or an Excel spreadsheet, I could import thousands of customers into my personal CRM. I can import those customers into groups. So I can specify, buying groups, selling groups, my sphere of influence, and then I can import those records into specific groups. Here's an example of the customers, and then again, the last activity date, and then what is the last touch based upon the email campaigns or a saved search or some type of electronic engagement. Now I can drill down. I can continue filling out, so I can capture address information, I can put in phone numbers, I can tag each profile, so maybe Jonathan likes golf or tennis, maybe he has 3 kids, so I can put that additional information onto the customer record. I have the ability to do notes or follow-up actions, so maybe I need to contact Jonathan next Tuesday just to follow up with him, and the system will remind me. We spoke of saved searches, which is typical that any buyer I would set up in the system to do this. And the reason we are so a proponent of that is that within our saved search emails that go out, we put in call to actions within those emails, such as schedule a showing or ask a question. So a lot of times in the response from your customers, they may have clicked on a property in that email and asked a question without coming back to the listing or the listing on the site. Here's a live preview. I set up a market watch earlier to demonstrate. So on a weekly basis, if I'm interested in a specific zip code, this will bring up a branded message that would go out to me on a weekly basis from Dominic, just letting me know here's the market trends and the pending and the sold data on a weekly basis.
Can that be monthly also, or
You
can I set up a different time frame?
Yep, you can set the criteria or the frequency.
Okay.
And you can also set up multiple. So in some cases, I might be moving to 44646, but maybe I'd also like to have one for Carrington, which is a neighborhood. So I can start typing in Carrington. It's got 10 active listings currently. I can save it, and now I'm going to get a monthly information about the Carrington neighborhood.
Good.
Well, there's also by radius. So maybe it's 3 miles around this point because I'm looking around my job or my work. So you have the options to do both. I don't have any saved properties, but then as a tool as a real estate professional, I could put in a saved property for my customer. Then I can quickly add my customers to a campaign. The history, it's an ongoing history complete browsing. So any saved searches, anytime that I click on a listing, anytime the e-system sends out any type of email, a market watch, a saved search, that's going to be reported in this history window. So you have complete browsing behavioral history. So once I create my groups, I can have my customers going into a group. Now I can kick off specific marketing. One could be an e-card. So I can send out an open house e-card or a new listing e-card. The simple, going in, I could choose the listing. I can choose when I want that e-card to go out. So maybe I have an open house going out tomorrow at noon. I can edit the messaging on that e-card. I can also choose which photos I'd like to appear. So, you know, come check out this kitchen or come check out this living room.
And this pulls from the board, the MLS.
That's correct, and all the images as well. And again, you know, our ultimate goal is real-time data. Right now, we are moving towards 15 minutes or less. And again, you know, the goal is 50. We just know the goal is real-time. That within 60 seconds we can update data and photos on any listing. The weekly newsletter, or an example of a one-off, what we call an email blast, we can help you build templates. And now I can build out a weekly newsletter, or maybe there's, again, an event happening this weekend that I'd like to tell my groups. I can send it out to a person or to groups. I can create the message. I can send it. And then you'll have complete history. So I can always, you know, next week I can just come back into the platform, grab one of the newsletters I previously sent, change the content, and then send it again. And then the third type, or go ahead.
I have to build these, or are these auto-populated with the data?
It's possible on, I as an individual can build something, or perhaps maybe the company is building out some messaging, then it could apply. So I could just grab that content and send it out. So either way. And then on the email campaigns, the same type. I can either grab a holiday campaign or a customer for life campaign that we provide our customers. We can work with the company, or the company might create their own content and then provide it to agents so that all those campaigns would apply to everybody. Or I might go in there and I might choose my own, you know, create my own campaign. But what's logical here is the logic here is that I can go put settings that anytime a customer comes onto my site, or anytime that I enter a customer into my site, I can quickly just have them added to a campaign. So I don't have to go in here and keep, you know, moving customers around. I can put in automated messaging. So there might be an example of a Happy Easter. I could edit that, so maybe I need to edit it before it sends out. I could maybe turn off a campaign. Maybe the company gave me a campaign that I don't want to use. I can disable it. Campaigns can also be action-based. So, you could say 10 days from contact, send this. At 14 days, remind me as the real estate professional to pick up the phone and call that contact record. So not all the time is it email related. It could actually be an action based where it's reminding me to do something along the way.
So along that lines, Jonathan, could we set it up like on anniversaries and such that it reminds us or tickles us to pick up the phone and say, hey, it's been a year since you bought your house. How are you enjoying it?
Yes, that's possible.
Okay.
And ultimately, we wanted to try to keep it as simple. I mean, to create a new campaign, you name it, and then all you're doing is the next step is adding, whether it be an email or an action, and then you're telling the system, is it going out on a date or is it going out, 2 days from the time that the person contacted you, 10 days from the time that person contacted you. So again, it is robust, but it's simple at the same time to navigate and to implement into your marketing plan.
Is this the spot where we would set up something for an auto response on a lead capture, such as thank you for looking at my site, if there's any questions kind of thing?
Yep. So anytime that there is a request made from the public site, there's always a reaction from the system. So the system's always sending out a confirmation email or an acknowledgement. And you have access to all of those, I'll call them canned messages for what you will, but all of those messages, you can go in there and you can edit or modify on a personal level. As an example, thank you for your showing request on jblood.com. Showing request, email questions. Anytime a new account anytime an account's created, the system will notify the customer of their username and password and a link back to your site. So again, you can modify any of that messaging.
Yeah, we ought to just tell you.
So any questions?
Jonathan, you said you're working on syncing Gmail contacts. Does that mean that would also, like if we're using Gmail, when that is set up, will we be able to access our Carpenter email and Carpenter even calendars if we're using the Gmail program? Will that be available in here when we log in here?
Yes, that's the ultimate goal. So you would most likely put in a username and password into the CRM, where then we're able to exchange information with Google.
Okay, so that's fourth quarter.
And we have it slated for fourth quarter. Obviously, if that was a major component, we would just need to get with the team and see how realistic it is to move it up faster. But it's around the corner. We were working on Google standards first, and then after that, Office 365.
We're Google Docs and Google Gmail, so that would be our priority if we do it.
But a big difference, though, in comparisons to other technologies out there, we wouldn't have you do that for the purpose of sending emails. Our system sends out all the emails on behalf of either the agent or the company. So that's all done, and it's CAN spam approved. And we do everything to make sure it's within regulation. Any other questions or anything I might have missed that?
Is the anything with testimonials or reviews in this side of the program?
Yeah. So what controls it can either be done from the public site. So if a user came to your customer reviews tab or link, they would have a form to fill out. If that was the case, you would see testimonials in here that would need to be approved. Once you approve them, then they go onto the public site. You as the professional can set up how you want your reviews page to look and feel. You might actually have some content on there as well. So, thank you for visiting my website, or thank you for being a customer. Please fill out the form and give me a 5-star rating. And those are all options, because in some cases you may have some that do not want the 5-star rating, and you can simply just shut that off, although we'd recommend keeping it on. So you can apply those settings. Again, once it's set up, you can add the testimonial or the review, or the public can from the public-facing side.
Okay. This is where we would manage that.
Correct. So when the system notifies you of a new review, you would be coming to this dashboard to approve it before it would show to the public.
Got it.
Okay, can I ask a question real quick?
Sure.
Okay, this hooks to our website and stuff though as well, right? We control our website through here?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, Jonathan, so you know, these are people, like yesterday we were talking about people who were more active with their websites. These are people that we've identified as being more interested in or active within the CRM program and might be better critics of your program. So that's why you might have some questions of, hey, tell me about the website side, things like that.
Yeah, and you know, as an example, you may operate as an initiative multiple websites. In that case, we'll give you or provide you links that you can use on those other sites so that all lead engagement comes through one centralized CRM on our system.
Jonathan, back on the client management, is there relational capabilities within that? So in other words, if I capture a lead off of the website of Mr. Smith, I follow up with Mr. Smith, I find out that Jane Smith is his wife, has a separate email, adding her as his spouse, would I then also be able to control her individually as well as relationally within the family unit?
Okay.
So in other words, can I send 2 emails to both of them, but only having one input screen for the family?
All right, we are stepping through this now because that is a real life example. So right now on the profile, I can say, you know, Tiffany is Jonathan's wife. But because our system uses email address as a unique identifier, in most cases, you would still need 2 records today. So
I would have to input twice for the family.
Yeah, so you'd have a record for Jonathan and then a record for, you know, Tiffany. But this is not the first request, so we are talking about this, where, you know, anytime that, you know, Tiffany gets an email, send it to Jonathan too, because Tiffany's the one doing the home search process, but keep Jonathan in the loop. So, you know, we're talking through ideas like that because this is not the first time we've heard that. We are working on that, Shane.
Okay. And back to anniversaries, birthdays, things of that nature. Is there a method to, as soon as I add a contact, it automatically sets up those automated ticklers, if you will?
Yeah, and I believe
rather than me going in, adding them to a group, then adding the actions to that group, and et cetera.
Yeah, so on the like on a one-off, just to demonstrate that process real quick. I don't know if we're doing it for the anniversaries, but like I can put them into a group, so I can call it a family. If I don't have it created yet, it'll create it for me. And then once I save it, now it's going to continue to ask me questions, or I can skip it. What's my buying? What's my selling information? Do I want to send Jonathan a notification email of this new portfolio I created for him, so it'll tell them how to log in? And then I can create a follow-up. So I guess not specifically to the anniversary, but it does do, you know, follow up with Jonathan next week.
Okay. Then also, does this integrate with any type of deal pipeline, such as I don't particularly care for them as a CRM, but HubSpot Sales has a wonderful pipeline that I can follow a contact all the way from prospect through lead to engagement, you know, on through to closing the deal with them, and it makes it a very simplified visual, if you will, to follow a lead. Does this, rather than just having contact information, can I also then add deal information assign the contact to that deal and bring up statistics or analytics on that.
Not
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, you could two ways. Not specifically deal related. I mean, you could also, I mean, you could go in there and say, hey, Jonathan is an active or Jonathan is a closed contact.
Okay.
But again, if you're using HubSpot or maybe even a third-party CRM for that matter, a lot of times what agents will do is add that email, like an email parsing address for that third-party system, so that anytime a contact's created on our system, it also sends it over to your CRM that you might be doing a little bit more evolved customer tracking on.
Okay.
And
are you talking in terms of, let me see if I understand, how it could talk to a transaction management system, you know, paperless transaction management system, and sharing that information? Is that what you're?
Basically, yes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Because we're just, you know, among this group, not for public, but we're looking at that as well within the same timeline, guys.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do there will go with whatever we do here. The best it can anyway with today's products.
Sure. Excellent.
And David, you know, like as an example, if you have a company solution, so if you have a transactional provider that's going to fill those shoes.
Yeah, SkySlope. These are people we're talking to. SkySlope, Loop, those kinds of people, those products. You know, we're interested in learning a lot how they can communicate with each other to eliminate, you know, some of the replication of this information. You know, so we don't. It kind of talks to one system can, if set up properly, talk to the other a little bit.
Right. So
like when I'm on their account, I know that, you know, where we are in the transaction, as well as just a communication, you know, system, or, you know, it really tracks not just the client, but the actual client's position or where the client is in the transaction.
Right.
And the history of transactions.
And I just heard of SkySlope this week too in another presentation. A couple other examples, because what we do provide any of our customers is our API. So as an example, I know in one case, anytime a customer record's created in our platform, I know if you were using Profit Power, you know, they would be able to suck that customer data into the financial system. Or I believe we have an API at the Lone Wolf, you know, from the financial side. Or in some cases, there might be a mortgage partner that, you know, so again, we can make the data available and we can make systems talk.
Okay. So you've got some experience with that, yeah.
Yeah. So we would just need to have a little bit bigger discussion on, hey, what company tools are there, and where do you want your data to move?
Yeah.
I know in one case, because more for the purpose of lead logic, we were working with a large company. We send their data, the customer records, to the financial platform. We were hoping to get financial data back or closed transaction information, so that we can marry up customer records and agent information so that you could put in more advanced lead routing rules. So again, anything is possible, especially we're not holding any data hostage. If they can take the data, we can make it available, or vice versa.
Okay.
We can build to bring the data in.
Okay.
You know, for today, I mean, that's most of the CRM tools that we do have available. Something, because this was talked about yesterday very briefly, is we provide that seller report tool, so that if you want to send your sellers a report, you know, weekly, you know, how many times your listing has been clicked on throughout the entire company infrastructure, that is another e-marketing tool that's built in. It can be sent to a seller or sellers, or maybe in one case, just myself first, then I'll, you know, qualify it before it should go to my seller. And we now have the ability that if you're working with Homes.com or Realtor.com or Zillow, we can bring in stats from those third parties so that you can send out a consolidated seller report of how many times their property has been clicked on. So those would be the major, directly associated with, customer records, and customer tools, customer e-marketing built into the platform. This is not so much CRM based, but I think it's valuable to talk about is there's different levels on the agent side where some of you might want to force registration after a certain point. So right now, by default, typically everyone's soft customer offers, save a search, save this listing. So some type of proactive notification or pop-up window. But you could say, anytime a customer has seen more than 10 listings, go ahead and make them register. So in some cases, some of you may have some more advanced or a little bit more advanced lead generation techniques is how you're converting that traffic into a contact record.
Good.
Anybody else got any questions?
One more question.
Sure.
So pretty much everything I've seen is inbound lead generation. Is this capable of a more robust outbound? So say I farm a certain geographic location, I send out emails to all the email addresses that I have in that location. Can I utilize it for outbound lead generation as well? So will it capture those pass-throughs and those clicks?
So can you walk me through that as?
For an example, BombBomb. BombBomb is a video Gmail integration tool that I use. I send out email campaigns through it. They click on the video, which takes them to my lead capture site, which then I capture that information and utilize it. Could I do something similar through this?
And it's seamless. So you send out. What you could do in a similar capacity of how you're using BombBomb as far as sending out a message. So as long as you had the emails, you could import those emails into our platform and send it out with specific link backs. And what I showed yesterday too is you could build out a specific landing page for that content as well. So you might be doing pay-per-click campaigns as an example. And that pay-per-click campaign is going to bring a user back to a specific page that you created on your site that maybe forces them to register so that you can build an ROI on that marketing campaign. That would be an example.
Okay.
So yeah, you can import as many records as you want to the system. So you can import 30,000 email addresses and send it out. Just encouraged to make sure those are approved 30,000 people.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could build groups, import them, and then build out content or link backs to specific parts of the site. And then you could also use the links to build other lead generation sites outside of it, so that if you want all the customer records to be in our system, you could use those links for property search on another site or another landing page.
Okay. So it sounds like you can, but you've got to provide the email addresses.
Right.
Sure.
I think what BombBomb is fantastic with what they do with the video side of making it seamless to quickly film a video, put that into an email, and blast it out.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody else?
Anybody? I'm good.
Thank you all. Thank you, Jonathan.
Hey, thank you, David.
Jonathan.
Thanks.
Thank you, John.
Working through a process here. Be patient with us.
Sure. Anything I can do, let me know.
We will. Won't hesitate.
All right.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jim.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.